Okay, there we go.
E3 Media.
Wonderful.
Okay. And I normally would do the whole intro thing, but you know what? I'm gonna go right into it. Okay, guys, I am happy to introduce to the channel for the first time. I'm not gonna tell you all the things she made fun of me about before we got started, all the technical difficulties. She's a great sport so far. I was having fun, like totally. If I'm saying it correctly, she tried to tell me before. It's Angela. Is it Koch?
It's like you're hacking up a hairball. Koch.
Koch.
Yeah.
And co-hosting with me today, and Christopher Fagan. I promised to be bougie with my last name today, and I found you out on was it TikTok? I think it was, when I saw you giving advice, relationship advice, and it said you coach for happy. Like was it happiness? Because you're a writer. I saw nerd that caught my eye. I was like, okay. Who is this person?
So I am a master certified life coach. I specialize in relationships and happiness. So essentially what I do is I help people, go from where they're at right now in their life and help take them to where they want to be.
Why do you think people aren't happy? Or do you feel that in general people are less happy than they used to be? Or is it more that they could be more happy than they already are, if that makes sense? What do you think it is?
We are taught to be unhappy.
Ooh.
From really birth. We're taught, that we need more stuff. Commercials tell you either how you're inadequate. They tell you why what you have isn't enough. They tell you they're literally just sticking in your mind, you need more. And if you don't have this product, then you're not going to be happy. But with this product, you can be happy. So not only does, commercials and just advertisements in general express to you that you're inadequate in different ways, but they also tell you that you're not enough in different ways. Constant,
nitpicking and finding something wrong with life.
Yes, but we're taught to nitpick from an early age. We're taught to never be satisfied. How many times have you heard that? Don't ever be satisfied, go for the goals. Like, don't ever be content with your life. And then it's almost like there's like a sort of failure that happens if you are happy with the way that your life is, if you are content with the way that your life is.
Isn't that more of like of an American thing? Like, isn't the one thing that America is always number one at is like confidence or something like that? Isn't that like really like an American kind of way of thinking? Always be in the pursuit of more, or bigger, and stuff like that. So I find that to be more of a. So I guess that's the next one. Like, what's so wrong with capitalism? Like you just hit the nail on the head. You're right. I never thought of it that way. It's like from birth we're taught. You kind of made me think about infomercials when you were talking about commercials. How that product that we've been using for hundreds of years, now that this new one has been invented, now all of a sudden you don't know how to make eggs anymore. There's got to be a better way. It just all came screaming back. Now you've just pointed out the fact that I watch too much TV, which is why I'm probably never satisfied.
It is interesting how they end up doing that, but we also have to look at society tells us to fit inside of a box.
Yeah.
That's, you see a lot of rebellion against that right now, with people expanding their mind, saying, be who you want to be, and just be true to yourself. But you still have a lot of society just saying, no, you have to fit in the box that we've created for you. And if you don't fit inside of there, then you're abnormal. You're going to be ostracized. Now, if you look at, human nature's natural will is we're group people, we're group animals. Right. So to be ostracized from a group, if you look at just even down to evolutionarily speaking, that's fearful.
Yeah, it's terrifying to some people. Yeah,
it is. But if you think about it, it's terrifying because back when we really needed to be in groups, if you're a single person around a bunch of crazy animals that are about to tear you apart, there's a really high chance you're going to be eaten.
Right.
So you need to be in groups. You need to be in groups to defend yourself. You need to be in groups to raise your children, to raise a family, to stay alive, right. Essentially. Right. Times have changed, but that doesn't mean that, that primal instinct isn't still there. So, society has said, well, you need to fit into our standards of what we think you should be, we think your goals should be. But those might not be your goals. They might not. Your goals might be very different from that. Right. Who you are might be very different from that. And so I think it's a matter of just, having to unlearn. In order to find happiness, you have to unlearn everything you've learned and then relearn what you should learn. I also specialize in relationships. We are taught through Hollywood that relationships should be toxic. Romcoms drive me up freaking. Those are so toxic.
Rom-com where the guy with the heart of gold wants to win the girl's heart, but she's conveniently dating a jerk. And it makes it, the setup so easy. Like, you mean like things like that, or what do you?
Oh yeah, where cheating is glorified, and then they show, and then think about how many rom-coms you've seen where it's a girl or a guy chasing the opposite gender, and they're trying to get the attention of this gender, but that person is an absolute jerk to the other person. Right. They're bullying them. They're slightly abusive. They're very abrasive. And then that person falls in love with them and starts treating them nicely, and it cuts off there. That person is showing you their true colors. They're showing you those red flags. Yeah. If you were to continue that movie through the rest of their life, you would likely see that once that honeymoon period is over and those chemicals in your brain end up fading away and it becomes what should be love, not just infatuation, that person's going to become abusive. That person's going to cheat on them. That person's going to become toxic and dismissive and go right back to the jerk that they were
before. They met. Right. That's the sequel that usually is always in my head after, like you just said, the honeymoon phase is over. Now don't roll the credits yet. Let's see when the gaslighting starts again. Let's see, like you said, let's see when the cheating starts again. Let's see when that inevitable fight where one person in the relationship is purposely or has a history of getting under their spouse's skin, and they don't defend themselves for a while until they have a breaking point, and then you get the breaking point on camera and then show everybody to make them look like the aggressor. Like things like that. Yeah, you're right. That's okay. So now I don't like rom-coms anymore. So let's see what else we can.
Well, a lot of people use the defense, well, it's just for entertainment. Right. But what they're not putting into mind is that everything, whether it be songs, whether it be what we watch, everything influences us. Right. Everything. That's why they have influencers. Right. Is because people watch that, become influenced, and then go do it. Now let's look at movies. If that wasn't the case, if it wasn't just for entertainment, you wouldn't have people like Subaru having sponsored, their fingers sponsored inside of movies. You wouldn't see like Nike shoes on someone. You wouldn't see those things because every time a popular movie comes out and there's certain product placements that are in there that are, sponsored, right, that the sales end up raising. You see an increased amount of sales. Right. So it influences us. And we look at these messages that we're being fed of, this is how love should look like. It should be toxic. It should be hot and cold and hot and cold. You should be chasing the other person and begging for them back and love bombing them and doing all these things. That's what our standard is.
Yeah, we've come from lifestyles of the rich and famous to Instagram and things like that. I don't even call them influencers anymore. I usually just dub it celebrity worshiping. When I see people blindly defend them at all costs, no matter what they say or do, those are the things that I that to me feels like a toxic relationship. It's like nothing this guy or nothing this lady can do can be bad. Nothing. Then what does anything matter anymore? That's just how I feel.
Everyone, has a hero. Right. No matter what, we all have heroes. We all have people that we admire that influence us. And I think some people take that a little more to the extreme where they really need that positive influence in their life. And when that's taken away from them, maybe they, don't really have a mother or father figure, or they just need someone to look up to. Right. So when that someone messes up, which is completely natural, everyone messes up. We're all human. I think we honestly put influencers and celebrities on this level where they can't mess up. And then when they do, we're like, but they're human. We all mess up. So I think, there is this unhealthy relationship that when that person messes up to an extreme extent, whether it be assault or doing something absolutely awful. I don't want to say unforgivable, but horrible.
Right.
Absolutely something that should have never happened. They defend them. They shouldn't be defending them. They should be saying, no, you need to be held responsible for this action. You are not, going to go out of this without having some marks on you at this point.
Because any regular Tom, Dick, and Harry would definitely be held accountable. So you shouldn't be held to a higher. It's interesting that you said that, because I saw another platform where I believe the man said he doesn't believe that it's actual cancel culture, that the movement is really about accountability, that it's really holding people. There are extreme situations where, and I know every situation is different, but it's the movement is mostly about holding people accountable. Like what you said, when even the rich and the powerful, who are normally we're used to seeing, buy their way out of it, get away from it because they're famous or what have you. Now people are being held accountable more. It's become a popular thing now
sometimes we get stupid. We do stupid things. We may be drunk, tweet something stupid, or and some of us honestly, come from bad families, and then they end up, you become a really crappy person and you do really crappy things. And then you're like, oh my God, I'm a terrible freaking human being. I need to change. And then you work on changing, you work on becoming a better person and glowing up. Yeah. But then there's still evidence of who you were. We should celebrate that difference. Yeah. We should say, wow, you were terrible. Look at you now. Amazing. Because we'll encourage other people who are currently that person that they used to be. We'll encourage them to putting in the work.
Exactly. I believe that. I say all the time. I know I'm not the man that I want to be, but I know I'm no longer the man that I used to be. That's something that Chivalry. Is it really dead? People are always saying that all the time. Chivalry's dead, and this group killed it, or that group killed it, and all these reasons that Chivalry. Is that something that really comes up a lot anymore about Chivalry?
I don't think Chivalry is dead. I really don't. But I think it is something we're hanging on to, a past notion of what chivalry should look like. The 1950s, when men used to open up doors for women and women would, cook for their men. But if you look at it, it was a subservient dominant society. The man was the dominant. Then you have the subservient woman, and the man takes care of the woman. It was this constant, almost like servanthood, that a woman must be a servant. And we glorified that into chivalry of men, treating women like they're goddesses and women serving their men. But the reality is that it wasn't like that at all. If you really look at how things were back then, women, even look at the ads, women were just degraded constantly.
I agree. I talk about that a little bit on some of my platforms, on Folgers, a couple of Folgers Crystals commercials that point to that. But I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, that's good. You have a great point.
It's something I make fun of. Used to make fun of all the time when I pointed. I cannot believe that this is how we used to advertise. It was basically. What did I say in my one of my TikToks? My husband hates my coffee. What do I do? Why, save yourself a trip to the hospital with Folgers. That was pretty much how they talked. That was crazy. Yeah. It was crazy.
Exactly. It almost glorified abuse. It really did. Yes. It really did. So when people are saying, well, chivalry is dead, the problem also is that toxicity is normalized. I always use the analogy. So imagine you are in a relationship with another person. Okay. And they take a knife and they just slice you open. Now, you have this gaping freaking wound that you have to heal from. Was it your fault that they cut you? No, it's not. Is it your responsibility to heal yourself? Yes. But the problem is that people look down and they do one of two things. They tend to, not always, they tend to do one of two things. They either look down and they're like, oh, it's not there. And they just pretend that it doesn't exist. Right. As long as you don't look at it, it's invisible. Right. And then it becomes infected. And then it infects other parts of their life and their relationship and their mental health, because they're not cleaning out that original wound. Right. Another thing that they do is they are like, oh my God, this hurts. And then they don't clean it out. They don't do anything. They just start staring at it and they start fixating. And like, I can't believe this happened. Oh my God, this hurts so much. And they just fixate on the pain so much that it's dirty. That was a dirty knife that cut them. And so they're watching it slowly get infected. They're watching it, dissolve their health because that infection's spreading, and they just feel more and more sick. And it all originated. They know the responsibility is that person that cut them, but they don't recognize the responsibility is them to, even if it's extremely painful, clean out that infection, clean out that dirt, sew together that wound, understand it's going to hurt more even after you sew it up. It's still going to hurt, but it's going to stay sore for a while. Even after it looks closed, it'll still stay sore until it's fully healed.
Your healing process is your responsibility, not to just stand still and just look at it and only so focused on the wound. You're not cleaning. You're healing what's underneath and what's going on all throughout. That's very true.
But we have to take responsibility for that. And saying, you hurt me, now I have the responsibility to heal myself. A lot of people are like, no, screw that. You hurt me. It's almost like they're hanging on to the pain as a sort of justice, not realizing that person doesn't have the knife wound. Yeah. You do. Right. You have to take the responsibility to heal yourself because you don't deserve that pain. And because you know you don't deserve that pain and you deserve to heal, that's why you got to do it. Right.
No, I'm actually engaged, and me and my fiance are about to get married really soon, and we are excited about it. And this is a real question, I have brought up to her that I think we should do couples counseling, and she got worried about that. She's like, why would we need that? Where everything is fine. I'm like, I know it's fine. But I feel like to make it stronger. So do you think that's am I wrong or right about that? Is that a true statement? Like, even if everything is going well in both parties' opinion, does counseling or therapy isn't still necessary? Is it still needed?
Yeah, of course, because it helps build a stronger relationship. Think of it this way. Let's just say every relationship has problems. No relationship is perfect, and there's always flaws in every single relationship. I can guarantee you that even the most perfect, seemingly perfect couple has their issues that they need to work through. And going to therapy or coaching or counseling or whatever you choose to go, whatever path, because there's so many different paths. Choosing to go to whichever path is right for you is simply just saying, listen, I love you so much that the small things right now that we're struggling with, those little things, I don't want them to turn into bigger things. Right. It's kind of like when you have a small issue, let's just say communication or a repetitive action that just keeps happening and it starts to bother someone. That's like taking a small, tiny little pick and just scraping you open, and then scrapes open. And the more the action's repeated, the deeper that gets. And after years of marriage, now you've got a gash. And now you're like, you did this damage. But if you take that and you hand it to someone that's able to help and say, listen, this is a problem that needs to be worked through. And it's not a problem that's serious enough for us to break apart, but it's something that I would like to work on and improve on and, grow stronger with. And you take that needle out, and now it's no longer hurting and it can heal. And it's a very shallow wound. I think the problem is that couples tend to go into these things once they're already like balls deep inside of arguments, ready to rip each other's heads off. And at that point, the relationship is suffering and has taken so much damage. Right. And now there's that much damage you need to heal, instead of just a little bit here, a little bit there. Hey, let's work on this. Hey, let's go have a third party involved.
Little preventative maintenance kind of a thing, Yeah, exactly. See, I agree. See?
Kind of like taking care of a house.
Yeah, exactly.
See, if you let other things go, then it's going to end up being one of those abandoned looking houses, and then you move out of it because it's no longer livable. That's what happens in relationships. But, someone who does either therapy, counseling, or coaching, what they can do is they can help, you to solve the leaky faucet, or take out the trash, or, unclog the pipes, little tiny things.
Yeah, stop that annoying beeping from the smoke detector.
Exactly.
What the hell?
Exactly. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad relationship. It doesn't mean that it's unhealthy whenever you go to someone. Right. In fact, it means the absolute opposite. When you go into something like this, and you still feel like you're good. It's a healthy relationship. You guys are good. You guys are solid. That shows just how much you care about that person.
I promised her before I started recording that I wouldn't try to use my platform and this opportunity to get a free session. I think I kind of broke that promise a little bit with that last question, maybe. But so I apologize if I crossed the line. But I did love the fact that you used real estate references, because during the day job, I am actually a real estate broker. So I understood all of those references. Good for me.
Okay, good. I'm not a broker. I'm just someone who's living in a house. So
right, we have a faucet, we have a smoke detector.
I hope that you guys have a wonderful, long, and happy marriage. And thank you for taking the time to do this.
I appreciate you. If you once again, if you don't mind, if you want to tell people where they can find you online, so they can reach out to you if they want to find your platform and your TikToks or YouTube channel, and just like I said, learn what you have to say, because like I said, not only was it entertaining, very educational, and I get a kick out of it. So if you want to let them know again, go for it.
Absolutely. So I have a blog that I post once a week. It's nerdytravelingwriter.com. I have my YouTube is under Angelika Koch. You see the name on the screen down there, or Angelika Koch. I always say it the German language. And then TikTok is under Nerdy Traveling Writer, Instagram under the same thing. I try to stay pretty consistent with Nerdy Traveling Writer just to make it easy for people.
I love that. That was what convinced me to reach out to you. I love that name. Like Nerdy Traveling Writer. I was like, okay, I got to talk to this lady. That is too funny. I love that. I love that title. But I appreciate it, and I hope once again I can talk to you again if you're ever free. If I might reach out to you on the platform, you might see every now and then I'm gonna comment and I concur. You know, I'm just because I'm a fanboy. I'm already a fan, so I appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Our supporters help make all this content possible, so make sure you check out our Patreon page so you can help us bring you the content you want. If you like what you saw, make sure to subscribe to the channel and please drop a like on this video. It really does help us. Also, don't forget you can turn on notifications so you don't miss a single review, react, trending, or we got your mail.
On anybody I want at Walmart, because free.
Yeah, Walmart is gonna be the new superstar store for sure.